from Touro College in New York City and Temple Law School. He interned at the Philadelphia District's Attorney's Office. Howard Kleinhedler is currently a partner with Wachtel and Mazer, LLP. In addition to working on numerous cases over the course of his career, Mr. Kleinhedler represented victims of the Madoff investment scandal from 2008-2009. He and his wife Rachel have raised 5 children in the community of Lakewood and sent them all to the local schools. Please welcome Howard Kleinhedler.
I'll reiterate the thanks that the prior 2 speakers have given to the council. It's a great opportunity to be here, and it's wonderful that we have all the candidates from both parties, other than Mr. Smith, who is not here, to speak to you. Now, my name's Howard Kleinhedler, and you guys may be saying to yourselves, Howard who? What? I mean, all right, the 3rd district, everybody thinks there's a good race in the 3rd district. 6, 12, yeah, it looks like it's good races, but 4? Is there even an election in District 4? Well, the answer is yes. There's a very important election in District 4. Your votes during this election are going to have a tremendous impact on the issue that means most to the people here today. And that is, are you going to have a job tomorrow? Are your children going to have a job when they get out of college? Are you going to be able to afford to send your kids to school? The way we get jobs back into this country right now is only one way. And that's with the federal government making loans to small businesses. There are bankers here, and I'm sure they'll admit it, maybe not to me, but they'll admit it. They're not lending, okay? Go try to get a business loan today. Oh, all right, Mr. Jones, let me see your financials for the last 3 years. Financials for the last 3 years? What's been happening to the economy for the last 3 years? Look at what I plan on doing going forward. Oh, I'm sorry. We can't do that. The banks aren't lending. Go try to get a real estate loan. Forget about it. You could put your firstborn up as collateral. You're not getting that loan. There's only one way small businesses are going to prosper, and that's because the federal government is going to either make that loan at a reasonable interest rate, or they're going to back the loan that the bank is going to make. And when the small business starts borrowing money to improve and expand, that's when workers are going to be hired. That's the way we get ourselves back to work. But there's another way that we can put Monmouth and Ocean counties back to work. And that's with the train to Manhattan. The MOM line. Now, for 30 years, Chris Smith has been in Congress, and for 30 years I've been hearing, the train is coming. Don't worry, the train is coming. Well, let me tell you something, folks. Right now, the money is there for the train. Your business people know one very smart saying. Money talks. And the federal money is there. $7 billion has been appropriated for high rail development. It's there. Another $50 billion in infrastructure spending is going to be appropriated. Why shouldn't we in New Jersey get that money for the line to New York? In 2008, for every tax dollar that we in New Jersey paid to the federal government, we got back 59 cents in government aid. In Virginia, for example, where Chris Smith lives full-time, they got $1.51 for every dollar they sent to Washington. Why should I and you and everybody else in this state be paying for the folks to send their kids to school in Virginia? Why should I be paying for the education programs in Virginia? We should start getting the money that we pay in back at a reasonable rate of return, not 59 cents on the dollar. Now, what's the rail going to do for us? Number one, it's going to create jobs, both in its planning, and its design, and its implementation. Number two, it's going to improve quality of life. You don't have to sit on a bus for an hour and a half to New York. I've been commuting to New York for 16 years. I know what it's like to sit on these buses. I know what it's like to try to get home Friday afternoon in the summer against all the short traffic coming here from New York. You get on a train, it's going to be a different story. Moreover, the train is going to bring tourism and shoppers to this district, to Monmouth and Ocean. Why spend $15 for a drink in the Hamptons when you can come down to the Jersey Shore and get the same drink for $5 and shop in our outlets and shop in our stores and stay in our motels? We've got the nicest beaches in the world here, practically. The line should be built, and it can be built, and it will be built if you send me to Congress, because I'm telling you one thing. No one who has stood for a candidacy in this district is more committed to that train than I am, because I've been commuting for 16 years and I know what it's like. Now, you've heard two Republicans talk, and they say, where are you going to get the money from? Well, you're borrowing money, we don't have the money. They're taking this moral high ground. They're these fiscal conservatives that don't spend money. All right, well, let's just look at a little recent history. When George Bush got into office in 2000, there was a federal surplus. In 2008, George Bush left us with a $3 trillion increased deficit and an economy that was in shambles, the like of which we hadn't seen in generations since the Depression. So the Republicans don't build up a deficit? The Republicans don't borrow money? We have to fix the broken economy today, and once we're back on our feet, we're going to bring down the deficit. We know how to bring down the deficit. Now, and I'm going to close with this because I'm running out of time. The Republicans have a panacea for all economic ills. It's called tax cut. That's it. You cut taxes and everything else falls into place. Well, let me ask you a question. Let's go back to what I started from, the guy at the bank. Listen, I think you have to make that loan because I'm going to get a tax cut. So what, you're getting a tax cut? You're not making any money. What good is a tax cut? Tax cuts aren't going to bring jobs here. And if you looked at the Asbury Park Press yesterday, the Republican plan to maintain the Bush tax cuts, to make them permanent, is going to add $4.9 trillion to the federal deficit over the next 10 years. So when it comes to helping people get jobs in a train, oh, we got to worry about the deficit, we don't have the money. But when it comes to cutting taxes so rich people can have a little more money in their pockets, oh, it's okay if that inflates the deficit by $5 trillion. No problem. Guys, listen. We don't need to have short memories. In 2008, when we finished with Bush and his Republican Congress, which was Republican for 6 of those 8 years, we were on the abyss of going back to be a third world country. You can't wake up today and say, let's give the car keys back to those guys who drove the van into the wall. It takes time to dig out of the hole that the Republicans left us. We're getting there. We're turning the corner. And if I go to Congress, I can tell you one thing. I will use every ounce of strength that God gives me to pursue the interest of this district. Thanks, and thanks for having me.